Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am curious about a certain component of D Live, if any of you are aware. Is it possible to celebrate a subscription anniversary, as they call it, but not actually subscribe again? Just kind of confused about that. It seems as though it would only make sense to be able to celebrate if you are subscribing again. Maybe I am wrong. But hello and good evening, people, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you some. You see these wounds? No, it's not a stigmata. You silly Catholics. How dare you! How dare you make light of such things? Do you see these marks? It's so, like right there and there and then there. Man, the quality of I'm sure it has a lot to do with lighting, but good grief. The the quality definition is terrible. Of course, higher definition cameras are stupid expensive, so excuse me. Maybe if I went digging around in PewDiePie's trash can, only then I would be able to experience high definition. What do you expect? Drinking a certain Smith's brew from the United Kingdom. I don't care. I don't care. I don't use the OneDrive. I don't care. Leave me alone. Just go away. Go away and never come back. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's just start with Noah Webster's word of the day. That's how we're going to start this thing. This thing is all about words tonight. I've been getting so tired of human beings on our planet destroy, decimate, ext- de-extrapolate. I think the word you're looking there for is occult. The occultation, I don't know if that's a word. We'll have to find out. We'll look that one up. But the occulting of words, guys, and the subversion of words and the redefining of words, not a big fan. Not a big fan. Um, I have a little cut right in the. So here's the thing. These cuts in my hand, these cuts, I put together a little shoe rack, and the end of the poles, metal poles, as I'm like, forcing the pieces together. And I look at my hands and I'm like, well, would you look at that? Nah. Hey, you haven't had a tetanus shot in 20 years. Yeah. I bet you the coronavirus was on those metal poles. I bet that thing's from China. Go on. This is my popcorn. Please go on. Do continue. All right, check this out. And hello, everybody. Numbers went up, numbers went down, numbers went up, numbers went down. Doesn't matter. It's not really important. We're going to talk about Noah Webster in the 1828 Dictionnaire. How dare you mispronounce dictionary? Yeah, I stole that from Mike Birbiglia, I think. It's all good. It's fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Probably made from Chinesium. Yeah, that special metal that they use in. I know, isn't that amazing? All right, check this out. We shall go to the top of the website. Noah Webster. Webster's Dictionary, 1828. This video is brought to you by Noah Webster. Funded by Noah Webster. Sponsored by Noah Webster. I thought he's dead. Noah Webster has personally endorsed this video. He agreed to it with his own very mouth. Pretty stellar dude, if you ask me. You'll hear me talk about him from time to time. And tonight will be no exception. So the meaning of words and the distortion of words, it's really getting on my nerves. And I'm sick of it. So my desire is to set the record straight as often as possible. We'll be looking up some hot buzzwords tonight. Equipping you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Is he talking about who I think he's talking about? I'm just saying AND and YOU. I don't know what you were thinking about. And you, and you, and you, and you. I don't know what you're thinking of. I'm just saying it's 8 p.m. I'm just saying and you, and you, and you, and you. I don't know. We'll move on. Words are important. Just because something sounds like something else doesn't necessarily mean that it is that something else. Thank you, Homestead Bound Bear. Nobody can hear. Nobody. I just realized that nobody can hear anything I'm saying when I also can't hear myself think. Maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I don't know. It's all good. It's fine. Everything is fine. Thanks for the lemons. The lemons are appreciated. You chose an interesting number of lemons, but who am I to complain? Exhort, the word of the day. Noah Webster, thanks, bro. Exhort. It's a transitive verb, and it gives a little pronunciation here. Exhort. Exhort. Latin, exhortor. Ex and hortor. To encourage, to embolden, to cheer, to advise. The primary sense seems to be to excite or to give strength, spirit, or courage. It's not like porridge, it's courage, not courage. Porridge does not rhyme with courage. Listen, chill. To incite by words or advice, to animate or urge by arguments to a good deed, or to any laudable conduct of course of action. I exhort you to be of good cheer. Acts 27:22. Hey, I thought this was a dictionary. I mean, who brought the Bible in? Noah Webster did. Noah Webster did because he's a legend. Young men also exhort to be sober minded. You see, back in 1828, the Bible was actually primary education material. Let me repeat that. Back in 1828, the Bible was primary education material. Young men also exhort to be sober minded. Exhort servants to be obedient to their masters. Amen to that. Titus 2:6. Oh, my servants are all shorter than me. They can't do much, but when they do, It's appreciated, and it gets me right in the feels. Wait, right in the feels. I've got three little servants. How dare you? Those are gifts from God. Yes, they are. I never said they weren't, but I also never said they weren't able to serve their mother and father. Am I right? Am I right? Eh? All right, let's go. Those are some loud shekels hitting the bottom of of a very large and empty can. I'll tell you what. To advise, metaphorical. Ugh. To advise, to warn, to caution, to incite or stimulate, to exertion, exhort, intransitive verb, to deliver exhortation, to use words or arguments to incite to good deeds. And with many other words did he testify and exhort. Acts 2:40. Three Bible verses in one definition of one word. Isn't that amazing? What on earth is going on with that guy's thumb? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Can somebody please help that man's thumb? I just noticed that. His pinky is dislodged. His thumb is experiencing. I don't know what is. I don't know what his thumb is experiencing. Staglititis? I just made that up. I don't know. All right, let's check out this word, my friends. A regularly thrown around word that I don't think means what people act like it means. I hate religion. Oh, religion is for redheads. Oh, nobody likes religion. You got Christians these days saying, I hate religion. It's not about religion. It's about relationship. Well, let's just see if we can support that idea or tear it down like the foolishness it might be. We'll find out. We'll read the definition and we will see once and for all whether or not people have subverted the word religion, which is my hypothesis, or, and I haven't looked this up on here yet, that I remember at least, or if it really is a terrible word and concept. We'll find it out. We'll check it out. You're already seeing it. Let's zoom in so you can get a better look at this sadly unshaven face. I mean, if there's any criticism to be had for Noah Webster, would be the lack of facial hair. Although I will say his eyebrows and epic hairstyle do make up a significant portion. So, with that being said, let's move on. Religion. It's a noun. Latin from religio, from religo, to bind anew. Re and ligo, as in the root word for the word ligament, to bind. I'm catching some interesting meaning here. This word seems originally to have signified an oath or vow to the gods, or the obligation of such an oath or vow, which was held very sacred by the Romans. Ah, interesting. Oh, I will. Oh, I will. You see how fast I just did that? I did that with one hand, basically. I did that with one hand, basically. I did enter, but I was able to control T and start ET for Edom. Guys, I got this on point. All right, we'll go back to Webster's. We'll hit up the etymology and then we'll go back. We'll go back to Webster's 1828. But we're gonna take a brief trip through the etymology. Zoom in for your sake, not for my sake, but for your sake, for the sake of your eyes. Your eyes don't lies. Circa 1200. It's a relatively new word, guys, if you think about it. It's pretty fresh off the press. Who is this guy? 1200. State of life bound by monastic vows. Also conduct indicating a belief in a divine power. So far, so good. So far, so good in my book. Just saying. From Anglo-French, religion, 11th century. Old French, religion, okay. Piety, devotion, religious community, and directly from Latin, religionem, nominative religio. Respect for what is sacred, reverence for the gods, conscientiousness, sense of right, moral obligation, fear of the gods, divine service, religious observance, a religion, a faith, a mode of worship, cult, sanctity, holiness, in late Latin, monastic life. 5th century. 5th century. Religare, according to Cicero, derived from religare, to go through again in reading or in thought, from re again, legere, read, to read again. However, popular etymology among the later ancients, Servius, Lactantius, Augustine, and the interpretation of many modern writers connects it with religare, to bind fast. See, rely. Via notion of place an obligation on or bond between human and gods. In that case, the re would be intensive. Another possible origin is religions, careful, opposite of negligence, in English, meaning particular system of faith, is recorded from 1300, sense of recognition of and allegiance in manner of life perceived as justly due to a higher unseen power or powers. It's from 1530s. To hold, therefore, that there is no difference in matters of religion between forms that are unlike each other and even contrary to each other most clearly leads in the end to the rejection of all religion in both theory and practice, and this is the same thing as atheism. However, it may differ from it in name. So, Pope Leo the 13th, Immortal Dei, immortal God in Latin. I could, I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm 99.999 nines after the decimal place certain that that definitely means eternal God or immortal God. Uh, so, anyway, to hold, therefore, that there is no difference in matters. To reject religion is to reject God. According to the definition and the clarification 140 ish years ago, 135. Interesting. And based on the etymology so far, I would say that that sounds about accurate, although religion, as is noted, has no direct connotation to which or how, just that, just that. So that's fascinating. Let's continue. Religion, in its most comprehensive sense, includes a belief in the being and perfections of God, in the revelation of his will to man, in man's obligation to obey his commands, in a state of reward and punishment, and in man's accountableness to God, and also true godliness or piety of life, with the practice of all moral duties. It therefore comprehends theology as a system of doctrines or principles, as well as practical piety. For the practice of moral duties without a belief in a divine lawgiver and without reference to his will or commands is not religion. I'll repeat that last line because it was pretty long. For the practice of moral duties without a belief in a divine lawgiver and without reference to his will or commands is not religion. Religion, as distinct from theology, is godliness or real piety in practice, consisting in the performance of all known duties to God and our fellow men, in obedience to divine command or from love to God and his law. James 1:26. I think this, yeah, it does. This website's so great. If any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. James 1:26. How about that, my friends? How about that? Are you starting to warm up to the word religion just a little bit? Religion, as distinct from virtue, or morality, consists in performance of the duties we owe directly to God, from a principle of obedience to his will. Hence, we often speak of religion and virtue as different branches of one system, or the duties of the first and second tables of the law. Let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Let's repeat that. Let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion. Any system of faith and worship in this sense, religion, comprehends the belief and worship of pagans and Mohammedans, as well as of Christians. Any religion consisting in the belief of a superior power or powers governing the world, and in the worship of such power or powers. Thus we speak of the religion of the Turks, of the Hindus, of the Indians, etc., as well as of the Christian religion. We speak of false religion as well as of true religion. Notice how Christianly biased this dictionary is. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Number 5, the rights of religion in the plural. Simply put, to deny religion is to deny belief in a higher power according to its base meaning. Its root meaning, I should say. I'm trying to get rid of that word base. Not a big fan of based behavior, if you know what I mean. Old Testament, Leviticus, and so on. Based behavior. Yeah. Um, yeah, not a big fan of that. Freemasonry uses a lot of those same phrases. Place an obligation on. I don't know what you're talking about because that was 5 minutes ago. You're gonna hear that noise. What the? What? Oblig. Oh, okay, so it's not a which was held very wait, or the obligation of such an oath. Man's obligation to obey his. Yeah, I don't know what the comment there is about specifically, but it's all good. Obelisk obeliskation? I have no idea. That is not a word I'll be looking up tonight. I'm afraid of where that might take me. Fear not, the Bible says. Don't be afraid. Okay, fine. Let's move on. I feel further, I feel much more educated on the word religion. That was, I don't know what that did for you, but that's a buzzword in society these days. And for me, that's good. It's good. That was educational. Let's find another one. Let's go with faith. Now, of course, we could just read Hebrews, of course. Of course, of course. But let's see what Webster's. Sola fide, obeliskation. Oh, I see. Christopher, welcome. Welcome. You know what I'll do? Come chat with me. Not just you, anybody, anybody. Christopher, you should already be invited here, but um, add, yeah, there we go. See you, right? Yeah, there we go. So anybody that wants to come chat, um, whoops, not that. I need these settings. Voice and video, input. All right, we'll do that one. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. All right, there we go. So feel free to join me um, on my Discord. Feel free to join me on Discord. It'll just be audio, but you know, it's all good. Let me squish this down, put it up here, and then we'll do this. And that's about all. There we go. That's fine. That's good enough. Need to rename this channel actually. Edit channel. Gospel bearers. Save changes. Wait, voice chat. VC. We'll just do VC. Save channels. Gospel bearers VC. There we go. And we will do this one. And by the way, I don't think you can see all of that, but I'll squeeze this down here. Spencer Smith did an excellent video on the third Adam. I highly recommend you guys watching that. So do it. Just yeah. All right, faith. Okay. Just do that so that I can see if anybody pops in. I am on D Live. I'm also on Discord. So anybody, gotcha, Handy Bear. I get it. Stuff happens. Like life. All right, faith. It's a noun. Latin, fides, fido, to trust. Greek, to persuade. to draw towards anything, to conciliate, to believe, to obey. In the Greek lexicon of Hideric, it is said the primitive signification. Never have I really recognized that word. What in the world? Is anybody in here actually aware of this word? And have you truthfully used this word in the past 5 years? Or really and truly, have you ever used the word in your entire life? Forget 5 years. Signification, my friends. Signification. If I could play that in Words with Friends, guys, I would be the coolest kid in my family. I play Words with Friends with my wife and with my mom. Sometimes with my mother in law, and ever so rarely with extended family. I try to avoid playing with strangers. I don't like to talk to strangers. I don't know about you guys. Not a big fan of talking to strangers. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna at everyone. I'm gonna abuse my at everyone because I've got so few people anyway. I'm live streaming about the meaning of words. If anyone is interested in joining in the conversation, basically just working through Webster's 1828 dictionary and combating foolish modern understanding in the usage of words. So that'll probably get 0 people to come join me. Um, but hey, there it is. I've got like 15 people on my Discord server, so there you go. It is what it is. Ain't nothing special, but it's what I got. And it's mine. All mine. All right, let's continue here. Signification of the verb is to bind and draw or lead, as signifies a rope. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. How about that? So talk about triple, quadruple live streaming. I'm even live streaming on D Live. I mean on Discord. That's legit. That's super legit. How about that? All right, let's continue. Alrighty. How do we chat voice? You just go to the voice chat um, in the Discord, on my Discord. Well, how do you get that link? You go to my DLive page, DLive/Gospel Bearer, and you just click the link. Do I not have it there? Oh gosh, I bet you I don't have it there. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'll just put it in the chat for this video. Hold on. Hold on. No, it's okay. We'll just do it here. Do it there, and we'll do it there. There you go. completely open. Come one, come all. Chat about words. It's all good. We're going for another hour. Good hour. Isn't it interesting that religion and faith have similar connotations? We'll do it live. I'm here. Do it if you want to. But this remark is a little incorrect. The sense of the verb from which that of rope and binding is derived is to strain, to draw, and thus to bind or make a fast. A rope or cable is that which makes fast. Hebrew. So if you join, just comment in the chat to let me know, because I've got looks like you're there. Oh, hey Lemon.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome. I am chatting about words. Um, I've never live streamed to Discord at the same time as also live streaming to YouTube and D Live, so it's kind of new to me. But
Oh,
but for all intents and purposes, I am whoopsie. I'm just doing the new thing. But anyway, we're talking about words. I'm ranting a little bit. I got started on the word religion because it kind of annoys me how often people are like, "I hate religion. Religion is garbage. I'm yeah, it's about relationship, not religion," which is part true, but it's also a dismissal of something that you don't fully understand. So I went to Webster's 1828 already. I'm just catching you up to speed. Some of the other people already know, but I went to the Webster's 1828, and for all intents and purposes, religion is the acceptance of a higher power and a system of actions based on the belief without designation, specifically within the word, to which religion. So there can be multiple religions. So it's non-connotative on which religion, but what's exclusive is if you deny religion, you deny a higher power. So for everybody that says that they hate religion, they are essentially, based on the original root meaning of the word, denying a higher power. And that's obviously not necessarily what everybody intends to do, but that's what annoys me about people's incessant destruction or subversion of words. Anyway, thoughts?
well, what's his name? Pastor Stephen Anderson talked about the libtard religion in one of his, usual non-PC sermons, talking about the religion of liberalism, and it has 10 key tenets that he identified, which can be helpful in identifying, really any form of religious worship that you come across. Um, a covenant, their covenant is "Don't judge me, I won't judge you." Clergy, their clergy are, A-list Hollywood actors, liberal politicians.
Which
Their
religion?
church, the libtard religion,
Oh yeah,
as
yeah,
it's
yeah,
known.
yeah. Okay.
And he talks about their church, um, which are, socialist havens where God's been, basically eradicated or at the very least replaced by the state, providing for your every need, irrespective of God. Um, they talk about the libtard religion's creed, what it believes. Basically, they say that respect all views except the Bible. Uh, their conviction,
Everything except, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's like 10 C's. And one of the C's was their convictions, the things that they feel like they have to do, and they have a strong moral, component that makes them do or not do it. And it's, he said it was animal rights, but abort a baby, abort a fetus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Basically, putting humans down a peg and elevating up, animals, I guess, or whatever. Their crusade, environmentalism. Their culmination, kind of like their end time prophecy or their end game, which is basically total control of of everyone's lives by government and culminating in a massacre of Christians in communism or whatever. So it was very interesting to see, some of the elements of religion that we all tend to manifest. Even if we do it alone initially, if we want to have covenant with other people, we're going to tend to make an organized religious practice the more people are in on the way that we believe religion should go. And religion ultimately is just trying to tie yourself back to whatever you think the source of life, the source of everything. Because once you realize that there is something eternal beyond yourself, you're going to try to tie yourself back to that thing via a man-made religion usually. But religion is man's imperfect way to get back to God, but Jesus is God's perfect way to get back to man.
Yeah, gotcha.
Hey, hey,
He
Hey,
broke
Shandy.
he broke up a little bit. And what should I call you? Should I go with Andy or
okay, it's CS stands for my name, Christopher Shade, and then Handy Adam or Handyman. Um, I'm a handyman, and that's what I do for a living.
okay?
So yeah, everyone calls me Shandy. I'm like, see Shandy. Like, I'll,
Nice.
I'll change it eventually,
I think
but
you
hey,
can
I just
you can capitalize and adjust your you can like just right click on your Delio and adjust your it's all good.
yeah,
It's
I'll
not a
do
big deal.
that. But so I thought of the actual word. If you can do word study, the word religion that James talks about, or is it John, where he's talking about true religion is ministry to the widow and the orphan.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
What is
I'll
that?
pull that up.
What is that? Yeah, what is that word that's translated into religion?
And orphan Bible. Yeah, I'll pull some widow and orphan verses up. Um, let's see. We got the book of James, religion that God our Father accepts. Okay, so it's James 1:27, so I'm going to pull that in blue letter. Um, one of my favorite resources, James 1:27. And what do we have here is I'm going to have to increase the size here. All right. So again, the verse is pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction and to keep himself unspotted from the world, which, interestingly enough, is is in walk with the definition that we just read in 1828, in being that it references in the book of James keep himself unspotted from the world, which refers to actions that set you apart from those that are godless. So let me specifically look up this word religion in the Greek, though, because that's fascinating. Um, it is threskia, or threskeia. Threskeia. So I was trying to get the pronunciation right. Threskeia. Um, so religious worship, external, that which consists of ceremonies. Threskeia, from the derivative of another word, ceremonial, observance, religion, worshiping. Um, it is how it is defined in the Webster's 1828. It really hasn't changed from the book of James. So that's 2,000 years of, except for, the last 50 to well, I don't know. The whole hatred of religion, um, I feel like is a modern situation.
I think I think it's sort of a, I guess, a scapegoat, if you will, for the devil, because the way I see him working is he'll kind of start out with a lie, but then he has to kind of like do damage control when the lie gets found out.
Mm-hmm.
And so one way to kind of dismiss religion, but still keep people not denying that there's a God, which is like it's retarded. It's obvious, right? Is to just say, well, I'm just spiritual. I just don't like that religion. And then they say, look at the evil religion, which is the Catholic Church, or which is this or that or whatever, bad instances of Christians doing bad things in organization, and then they're like, you see that? That means that's all corrupt. But nobody's actually talking about the true religion. People doing the true religion are the people you never hear about. They're on the streets. They're ministering. They're like, just they're focused. They're not the people, with the big churches. So I don't know. True religion is something that I find when I'm like talking to homeless people and stuff like that, and I meet people who are around there who helping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it is other places too. There's different ministries in different places, but when people say that, if people ever say that, it is always a cop out. Like, it's always a cop out. I've never known of a time where somebody has said, I just don't like religion. They're never the people that are just like giving their life up for the gospel, or giving,
With that
love.
word, the exception would be the denial as a Christian, as an observant, faithful, true Christian that rejects churchianity. So there is a certain level of hatred of not religion, observance of a higher power in its base, excuse me, root form, but rather the over convolution is convolution, I think, is the right word, of how church has turned into an organization and a business.
Or grabalation.
Yeah, there you go. Grab there. I love any
Well,
modification of that word is perfectly acceptable.
well,
So,
because I think it has to do with business, has to do with money,
yeah,
often. So it is literally grabalation.
yeah, and I'm not. I mean, I get how the 501c3 is part of that, but that's not an immediate. That's not an immediate. That can be an incidental, in my opinion. That can be an incidental. But in regards to programs and systems and the way that tithing is done and all of those different things and this overwhelming unnecessary hunger to make bigger buildings, and we just need another building, and then we need more money for
Well,
this, and that's the grabalation for sure.
I think that the most dangerous part that I see is if a a church's business strategy is dependent on the income, the 10% or whatever, the regular of its people. Like, it's dependent on everybody getting this off on their taxes who's giving, and like they put themselves in a bad position because they're used to it. It's like imagine if Owen has put all of his effort into YouTube or whatever like that,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they just dropped him. It would be devastating. But and that's why it's like just the way kind of, and what I'm seeing in my life as well, everything's kind of getting more intimate and more, and we still have this internet and everything, but coming together in small groups, and not these giant castles.
Yeah,
I
man,
mean,
it's really amazing. I'm thankful for the community that has centered around Owen. That's not his fault. All glory to God. Obviously, God gifted him in different ways, but there's definitely a lot of great people that center around somebody that is unashamed, and and that's a beautiful thing. Um, there was another little component I was going to drive home on, besides the fact that I was just talking about that today in how I see the future of entertainment and community being much more intimate, much more individual, much more interactive, and less able to be scripted, to be puppeted, to be, for lack of the better word, grabbled. And I think that people are going to look for authentic and genuine communication wherever they can possibly find it, because they have seen so much falseness. They've seen so much taking advantage of. Um, People will hurt you regardless. People will fail you regardless. People will, sin and disappoint you. However, it's different when it's grabbling is different than somebody disappointing you because of, their failures.
Right, like
I missed. I heard the different.
the difference between. Do you hear me?
No, you said I heard the difference between, and that's all it cut off.
Sin and wickedness.
Yeah, yeah. So Homestead Bound Bear mentioned, I tend to relate religion as man-made rules on how to worship. Yes, and that's what people are rejecting. However, that's not actually the original meaning of the word, not in the book of James, and not in the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. So something has happened in the last 100 years, or 150. I don't know how far back it really goes, but I imagine more so probably 50 years rather than even 100. Um, but definitely recently, something has happened to this word where people are perceiving it in different ways.
Hey, I got to.
All we heard is I gotta, but I'm guessing you gotta go for a minute, or maybe
No, no.
forever.
Some. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you now.
So, somebody should start researching music, popular music that use the word religion in a negative, or maybe a whole band named Bad Religion.
Yeah, well, that was that a band? Because I know there's "Losing My Religion" is a song.
Yeah, I wonder if we could pinpoint a time when it was starting to be put out in the conscience, in the social conscience.
I I would I don't bet or gamble, but hypothetically, if I did, I think that it would be a good bet to say that there are positive hymns written on the goodness of religion. I bet you there's at least a handful of hymns that have been written historically positive about belief in a higher power and the religion of Christianity. Or I have a feeling that word has definitely in music been used in a positive way. Um, but yeah, I'm looking up songs now.
I would be curious to find that word in like Greek Orthodox chants and different things like that, like some of the liturgy that they do in Greek.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Which was Threskeia? No, Threskeia.
Threskeia.
Threskeia. Thank you, Blue Sky Bear. Thanks for the follow and welcome. I believe, Blue Sky Bear, you make number 600. So Illuminati confirmed for Blue Sky Bear. I'm just kidding. I think the Illuminati confirmed meme is kind of funny.
Hey,
Um,
who was talking before I came in?
oh, that's Lemon, aka Discord, is his primary username.
Hey,
Hey, man, yeah, it was nice to hear a friendly voice.
So he's
no problem. Good to hear you.
Lemon Swan on the FE Discord, the 24/7 FE Discord,
Black Swan.
and his favorite word is ether.
Yes, indeed. I'm preparing for a debate with Kiwi tomorrow. He invited me to talk about the ether, and so I'm trying to do some crash studying.
Do it, man. It's good. That's good.
The universal background, the medium that's responsible for the propagation of all these electromagnetic waves.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a hard thing to nail down.
it
Yeah, I
is.
think the main thing is we can't get like a particle or like an etheron, and so the atomists are just going crazy because they're like, we want a particle that we can grab and test, but
Yes.
perhaps we can't grab everything. Maybe not everything is physical on that level, and maybe the ether is kind of non-physical. You know.
Can't live with it, can't live without it.
No, I definitely think it's a different part of the greater reality. I mean, it encompasses greater, what we would call supernatural reality, heavenly, what you would call dimensional. Um, and what the way I always looked at it was like all creation is the voice of God. God said, "Let there be light," and I feel like everything's a frequency. When you zoom down into it, it's just more frequencies, smaller and smaller, things, and I feel like all of creation is kind of held together by this, and so it's like the lingering voice of God that has the sin in it, which would be, there's harmony in the voice of God, but there's discord with the death. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's
definitely. And I think Quantum Eraser from Ballbusters might be coming from the empirical school, where you have to touch and taste and sense everything with human senses. But most of the time, there is a medium between things. Not everything is particulate. Like, say you have like a ball. It would have to touch you to interact with you physically. But if you are in water and the ball is put in the water, the water will make a wave and a ripple, and that wave and ripple can touch you without the ball having to be there. So it takes care of action at a distance to have a water-like medium of ether, so that everything doesn't need to be particulate and shot across the room to interact with something else.
Yeah, and what Iron Argon says, which you might have seen him in the chat as FEAR, Iron Argon. Anyway, he said make sure to put it in logic form. I was going to say the same thing. QE definitely prefers the logical method. If I'm not mistaken, that was well, I actually can't remember if that was Socrates that preferred that or Aristotle, the more material reality thing. But
Well, I'm trying to see what, if any, experiments, bring out, any empirical-ish numbers or anything like that
well,
to
here's the
say,
thing.
okay, how
There's
much the thing is.
the action at a distance is already metaphysical no matter what. So there has to be it actually you can actually appeal to his physical desires, like the desire to have something physical there.
Empirical. Mm-hmm.
It actually makes more sense for there to be a substance, even if it's intangible, meaning not able to be held. Intangible doesn't mean not real. It just means not able to be held. So even it actually makes more sense
Mm.
for there to be an intangible substance than there to be no substance at all. Because if there's no, and this is how I explained it. I have weird conversations with my wife, but this is how I explained it to my wife. I was like, if there wasn't something, then there would be nothing. And if there was nothing, then there would be no distance. Because if there's no space, there's no distance. And if there's no distance, everything would be right up in her face. There has to be something to create space, to create distance. So, de facto, there has to be something there. And it's obviously not tangible, at least to our
Yeah.
knowledge yet at this point. And if it isn't tangible and ergo having to exist in some way, either is a perfectly fine way of explaining the intangible space creator, distance creator, maybe you could put it, uh, or distance maker. I don't know. There's different
Right.
words and ways that you could describe it, but that's how I would go about that. Um,
Well, also, if you take the ball, it's over there at the other side of the room and it hasn't been thrown at you. Yet something from that ball is coming to your eye. Some sort of thing is acting at a distance so that you can see the ball. You can even hear the ball, if it's bounced, but it's not touching you. So the only thing that can, really explain it is some sort of medium, performing some sort of action at a distance to mediate the interaction. Otherwise, if there was nothing between you and the ball, there would be nothing there. There'd be no light. What would be there? There's nothing. How do you see nothing? Is it dark? I mean, what are we seeing? There's something there that we're seeing. Space can't be nothing. It has to be something. And then on top of that, say the ball is trying to shoot out, light rays or whatever to my eye. If there's nothing between me and the ball, there's nothing to carry that light. It would just automatically pop up in my eye.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like there has to be something there, that's mediating some sort of interaction. Otherwise, it just devolves into a bunch of mysticism.
So,
How
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, definitions seem to really matter, and that's where
Yes.
I've come into this kind of recently, so I've kind of paid attention, but I haven't really gone in depth. But so there's the ether that was defined as by Michelson Morley, maybe Tesla. Like there's a certain definition, or they're trying to prove it or disprove it or whatever. And I don't know all the details to that, but what is your definition that because you're defending the ether? So what is your definition?
It's basically the
I've got
medium
it
that
pulled up
allows the propagation
too.
of electromagnetic waves. Yeah. It basically is the universal background. It's the thing that makes up space. Whenever you have a vacuum, you basically have purified ether. It's the thing that everything mixes into. It forms up space. It is space itself. It can carry charge, be charged, store charge. It flows around and through everything. Yeah.
So,
So you
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so in true reality, it would be the space within our relatively closed system that we know of, that where we interact.
Pretty much. It allows action at a distance. Like, say you're over there and you can't physically interact with anything by touching contact with contact. Um, you would need to have some sort of carrier to come from you to me without you having to, make contact with me. You'd have to speak. You'd have to send out sound waves or something to hit my ear to begin to interact with me. Sometimes I'm out and about and I can feel people staring at me. All of a sudden my head will just turn like there's somebody staring at me. We're not even touching physically, but I can sense. It's like I can sense, like a sixth sense or a fifth sense, that, or whatever,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
something's going on and something's going through space to let me know, hey, something's going on. Heat, electricity, even. I think of electricity as just cracks in space, space rubbing together and crackling and releasing energy, kind of like with Tesla. It's like the solid space carrying something without physical interaction. So it mediates action at a distance. And I think in the current paradigm, it's been subsumed under gravity because the only thing that allows action at a distance in the current paradigm is gravity. But I think
Interesting.
gravity kind of tried to absorb the ether with space time,
Which
especially.
isn't quite logical. And I'm sure quantum wouldn't have any issue with you disjointing those two concepts anyway, because obviously gravity isn't well defined anyway. But I pulled up the etymology for ether, which is fascinating, and I think that you're mostly spot on in regards to even the etymology of the word. Late 14th century, upper regions of space, from Old French ether. 12th century, it's the 1100s. That's a long time ago, and directly from Latin aether, with the A as we see it written still to this day. The upper pure bright air sky firmament, from Greek aether. So Greek even has aether, right? Upper air, bright, pure air of the sky, opposed to air, the lower air. From aethane, to burn, shine, from Proto-Indo-European ed, to burn. See, it's related, or the word edifice gets
Mm.
its root from that.
Like
In
a building that goes all the way up to the ether or something, maybe.
in
A
ancient
tall building.
cosmology, the element that filled all space beyond the sphere of the moon, constituting the substance of the stars and the planets, conceived of as a pure form of fire or air, or as a fifth element, as opposed to solid, liquid, gas, plasma, ether being a potential fifth element in ancient cosmology. Anyway, from 17th century to 19th century, it was the scientific word for as an assumed frame of reference for forces in the universe. Perhaps without material properties, the concept was shaken by the Michelson-Morley experiment in 1887 and discarded early 20th century after the theory of relativity won acceptance. But before it
Oh wow.
went, it gave rise to the colloquial use of the ether for the radio. Interesting.
Ah.
The name also was bestowed in 1730 Frobenius in English by 1757 on a volatile chemical compound known since 14th century for its lightness and lack of color in anesthetic properties weren't fully established until 1842. Ether being that thing that they used in
To
an
knock people out.
yeah, interesting. Because
Anesthetic.
I kind of remembered that use too, but
Mm.
but that's fascinating. I'm gonna see what the Webster's. Whoops, I've added an S. Whoopsie. All right, ether in the Webster's, same to burn or to shine. In English, it says weather. So ether. Isn't that interesting? If we get our word weather
What ether maybe?
associate like weather has roots in the word ether, that would be fascinating.
Like
Um,
weether or weether
hold
weather.
on. Let me type in weather and see if it has any roots because that'd be pretty fascinating too. Wadarian, uh,
Weathery.
it doesn't.
Weather.
Weeder,
Similar.
Wedra,
Vetra.
Vetter. No, it doesn't appear to have roots. Um, it's a coincidence. Well,
Mm.
Greek words for good weather was athria
Mm.
and Eudia, storm and interesting. So, according to the Greek, it could have origins back in the Greek language. So that's fascinating.
Well, I mean, I think the main thing is the ancients saw that there was a general zone of evacuation leading kind of towards somewhat vacuum conditions in the top highest mountains where there's less air. And there appears to be some zone of evacuation. So that would lead to the ether being like a purified vacuum that you would approach with more and more filtration in the vacuum. Otherwise, you have the air that we breathe, which would be, I guess, analogous to ether mixed with particles that we can breathe.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive because ether mixing with things, but also if ether has anything to do with the firmament, um, I don't know. It's very very
Well, I
fascinating.
mean, we already have water which mixes with other stuff. You know,
True, true.
water will mix with, red, food coloring and sugar to give you, fruit punch. You know, the ether mixed with particles, can give you gas. Or the ether mixed with a bunch of electrical, I don't know, energy, maybe gives you lightning and plasma. And, maybe if it's full of heat, and maybe the ether mixed with, some water vapor, gives you clouds or something. Who knows? I
Iron
mean,
Argon encourages you, Lemon, to not use the word vacuum with QE.
well, I mean, I
and
don't
maybe use
understand.
maybe use the word
I
medium, he says.
Well, I'll try not to, but I have heard him refer to use the term vacuum, so it's not foreign to him. The main thing is we need to have a basis for discussion, and that's why these words are important. The
Sure.
words, as long as they relate to reality, have power. If they do not relate to reality, they are soon discarded for words that do have a relationship to reality. And so, these words, in their most powerful state, are kind of like a verbal representation of reality. Reality's over there, and this word is simply just an expression of the reality that's over there that you can't bring over here or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. Hey, I did you notice that um, when you did your first little description, it said the sphere
The sphere of the what?
of the moon.
Yeah, in which word was that? Was that ether maybe?
Yeah, it was in ether. It was right before they started talking about Michelson Morley, and I was thinking, um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is this wrapped up in a this fake universe idea? Is is that what um
Ether has roots far
he's
predating any heliocentric
right?
or globe
But his
type stuff.
quantum eraser is his big, because he's like he's furious about the ether, it seems. Is he attacking that, that's used to push some other thing or whatever? Because he seems like it was like he was really upset about it.
Well, the thing is, the ether proves that the Earth isn't moving. Because back when it was accepted as a thing, back in like the 1920s, they were looking for ether speeds to back up the notion of the Earth moving through space, 30 kilometers a second. They were lucky if they got 8 to 15. So the ether that they did get was too slow to justify the notion of the Earth moving, so it was discarded. So as a flat earther, I love the ether because it gets us speaking about geocentricity and getting into a more comfortable, flatter place.
Sure. All right. I looked up. Uh, I found a website called songwordsearch.com. It was almost impossible to find out otherwise, but I found this one where I could search songs by a word, and that was cool. So I'm gonna just go through a random list of songs including the word religion, at least in the title, if not in their lyrics. Lana Del Rey, Religion. REM.
Oh, Lord, she's a witch.
I
Did you
know.
see her latest song,
No, no, no.
"Season of the Witch"? She cut the heart out of like three of her suitors. She's like a Black Widow in the video,
I'm not
and they got this
surprised.
beautiful lighting.
Yeah.
It's just they're making Satanism mainstream in
Yes.
witchcraft. It's just, and they're using her cute little face to do it, and these hot little women.
Yep.
Look, ladies, when you turn to witchcraft, the light of love and life goes out of you. You may
Amen.
be able to have a very nice glamour and get some blood in adrenochrome, but eventually you're going to end up looking like an evil, dried up
Like Celine
hag.
Dion or Hillary
Like that
Clinton.
like that chick that sang that Owen was showing, that sang the national anthem. She looked like a total like
Ugh.
Hold
what
up,
was
hold
that?
up, hold up.
What was her name?
The woman that's are you talking about the Christian the gospel singer?
No, it was when the Sandy Hook kids
Oh, not
were
that.
singing together. It
Jennifer
was a black
Hudson,
lady,
maybe?
Jennifer,
Like,
Jennifer or Angelica Hudson, or I don't know.
I
So
think it's Jennifer Hudson, yeah.
She looks like a golem, like it
got
was
you.
like an animated creature
The
with
lady who
makeup on.
the lady who did
Well,
the Super Bowl is so yeah, it's Homestead Bound Bear said Jennifer Hudson, but the lady who did the Super Bowl is like a long-standing gospel artist. I don't know much
Well, the
about
thing
her, but
is, religious, even Christian music has been infiltrated. Go
yes, it
look at their
has. Well, that's on this list.
albums.
Let me continue this list real quick, and then we can
Oh yeah.
chat. All right, so we got REM, Losing My Religion. Bad Religion, obviously, already mentioned that band, right? And then the Truth, which is I like that guy. He's a rapper, a Christian rapper. The Truth, and TRUTH actually is an acronym, which I can't remember what it stands for, but he wrote a song named Religion. Ziggy Marley, Love is My Religion. That's interesting. Godsmack, Bad Religion. Lauren Daigle, which we all, well, maybe not everybody here knows about Lauren Daigle, but she has definitely been
Oh
in
yeah, I
or
saw her rings, her
put.
her moon rings and stuff like that, and her occultism and stuff like that.
You
They're
got it.
trying to work it in there.
Losing My Religion is one of Lauren Daigle's song, and she is definitely 100% grabbled. Kirk
Wow.
Franklin. Kirk Franklin did a song, Losing My Religion. Luther Vandross, which I don't know much about Luther Vandross, but he's got a reputation for making some soulful music. But anyway, he wrote a song named Religion. I'm sure it's probably all about copulation. I just am guessing. I'm just guessing. Uh, Again, Bad Religion did a song, American Jesus, which I don't even really need to look at the lyrics there. Uh, Bad Religion's just going to pop up over and over and over again. Duran Duran, I won't even mention Bad Religion anymore, by the way. Duran Duran, New Religion. Hugo, Old Time Religion. Skillet,
Oh, paganism, yay!
Skillet, which I always liked Skillet. I think that they
I love me some
they
Skillet.
they did all right lyrically, and I don't know much about them now these days, but anyway, they did a song "My Religion." That's interesting. Black Veil Brides, New Religion. Shura, I don't know who Shura is, but Religion.
Ashura, Far Eastern mysticism, a little bit in there. Sounds like it. Ashura.
Her name is Shura, Shura, and in Religion, you can lay your hands on me. Yeah. So anyway,
Mm,
Firehouse, which I think is that 1990s band, if I'm not mistaken.
mm,
Um,
I've heard
or
of them.
no, 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 I'm thinking of Lifehouse. I apologize. Lifehouse is that band
Having
from the
my
90s.
moment.
Yeah. So Firehouse did "You Are My Religion," probably yet another song about either
Satan.
adultery or fornication or something.
Satan.
Prodigy, which I've heard of, I don't know their music, but Prodigy did "No Religion." Um, Imaginary Future, "Losing My Religion." Apparently, "Losing My Religion" is extremely popular as a title. 10 Years After, "Religion" is their title. Eric Hutchinson and the Believers, "New Religion." Motorhead, "Bad Religion." Uh, Dierks Bentley, "My Religion." ATB, "Desperate Religion." Lacuna Coil, "Losing My Religion."
They
Uh,
did a real good cover of Enjoy the Silence, I think you'd like.
Interesting. The Charlie Daniels Band, "God Save Us All," from Religion. By the way, I don't know what that song's about, but I can tell you that from allegedly, the Charlie Daniels Band has denounced all of their prior songs and have turned to gospel hymns exclusively, still tour and do music, and refuse to ever play "The Devil Went Down to Georgia" ever again, and allegedly are hardcore gospel hymn only musicians, which I think, if that's the case, I can't help but think that that's pretty epic, and that's pretty cool. But Rory Gallagher, "I Could Have Had Religion." Sleeping at Last, "Birdcage Religion." That sounds a little Robin Williamsy. Sammy Kershaw, "Politics Religion," and Her. Um, I could go on. Apparently, this list goes allegedly there's
Oh,
226,000 results, so I don't want to bore anybody, but that's interesting. There's tons of words.
hey, can you hear me? I just did voice
Yeah, we
a
can hear you.
different thing. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. So I looked up something else. Sting, "Send Your Love," right? 2005 MTV Asia Aid. So Asia Aid from Sting.
Uh-huh.
Here's some of the lyrics to "Send Your Love." "There's no religion but sex and music. There's no religion but sound and dancing. There's no religion," and then it stops there. So that's "Send Your Love" by Sting. And then the other one I saw was "Wasteland" by Billy Idol. And he said, "Out into the Westel." Uh, I don't know, "Out into the Wastel," and "No religion, no religion, no religion at all. No religion, no religion, no religion at all. No."
Oh
So
my
that's from
gosh.
Cyberpunk
Yeah, I pulled up the
1993.
Sting lyrics. I mean,
But
it sounds
yeah.
like it was written by Aleister Crowley. I mean, which, the Police, that I mean, it,
Well, and that's for what was it for? Um oh, never mind. It was for at Asia Aid, so that's all propaganda too.
sure, yeah, yeah. It's just we have to remember that God made all things, and the devil will use anything. And just because somebody uses a certain chord progression for the sake of evil doesn't mean that that chord progression is now evil. Um, so when we're like, but that song is awesome. You have to distinguish or make a distinction there in in recognizing why you thought something was beautiful that was also pretty much um, what's the word for it, devoted to Satan. um
Ooh, gross. "Dirty Little Religion" by Warren Zevon.
I don't know who that is, but
I don't either. The
yeah.
lyric is, "I make a dirty little religion out of lovin'."
Oh gosh.
Jeez. So I was actually thinking when you were asking, like, okay, in the last 100 years, like this word changed in our society.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it was thought of as like something you aspired to, a man that had religion. that boy's got religion. That was like
Yeah.
what he
Yeah.
would say. And so I definitely, the devil's all about like messing up little terms here and there, just like changing things a little bit, subversion, and then it's like, especially because I was talking to my dad this morning. I called him and I started a conversation about kind of, I want to talk to him about the reality of our existence and everything, and I don't want him to spiral. So I'm like, kind of warming up to everything, but I realized his generation was the most destroyed generation from father to son, right?
Uh-huh.
Like it was they tried to for the first time the parents didn't listen to the same music that the children listened to, and it was like full bore trauma. You had the moon, you had Vietnam, you had like all sorts of people being killed. It's just trauma everywhere, and what was my point?
You were talking to your dad, and you're trying to drop some truth, and you were thinking about in regards to maybe this word religion, or
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. So like, and that's the whole story of the last generation that I've seen is all about changing things, changing terms, changing the word love, changing the word sex. You have that disgusting creature, um, what's his name? Uh, who was who was the guy who normalized porn?
Oh, you're talking
heifer,
about
heifer.
I'm thinking of
Hefner.
Daniel Flynn, maybe.
No, they're standing up. These guys, Hefner and Flynn, are standing on the
I
shoulders
preferred
of
calling him
Kinsey,
heifer, but
Alfred
You're talking
Kinsey.
about the
You,
Playboy Bunny dude, Hugh Hefner, Bill Maher's dad, supposedly.
they're standing on the shoulders of Alfred Kinsey, right? Do you guys know who Alfred Kinsey is?
that sounds familiar.
He's
He
the one
did
who
sexual studies, and
he
he
normalized
had
it and everything.
kid
Yeah, like
kids as
he
his.
he raped children and said, "Hey, it looks like they're enjoying it," and wrote it down in books, and you can take a class in college based on him, and he
Well, he didn't
normalized it
rape
all.
them himself. He had testimonies from people that had sexual
Nazis,
experiences
right?
with kids.
Yeah, he
Well,
may
that
have
sounds.
raped. I
Well,
I
that
think
just
he,
got better.
yeah, he
Oh, it was
actually
just
talked to
Nazis. Okay.
Nazis at the time. He corresponded with
Well,
Nazis.
Well,
Oh, it's
Fiona
disgusting.
Barnett talked about how the Nazis were doing satanic rituals in the streets. And, with them heading up NASA and certain, CIA, outfits and stuff like that, I'm like, I kind of believe it. Communism is on the rise, all of this weird, occult stuff, with NASA, and stuff like that, harkening back to, Apollo and, all this, ancient, mystery school kind of pagan, quasi pagan stuff. I'm like, there's something going on here.
Rockets seem to be the front. Like space seems to be the front. Like it's like the fake business that the Al Capone would have. The fake business. It's rockets and everything, but it's really just about Satanism and blood sacrifice.
Well, I mean, it looks like the real thing that they're doing is just directing those, resources toward breakaway civilizations. There's probably a bunch of stuff underground, a bunch of stuff beyond Antarctica, high-speed rail. One satanic ritual abuse victim talked about how underground they have gladiatorial, arena-like games where they, pit children against children like himself and others to fight to the death and stuff. It's like some of this stuff is like hard to believe, but I'm like, I don't know. This world is evil as hell. Who knows?
It.
Have you
And
have have you listened to Dan Duval?
mm-mm,
Oh, Dan
no.
Duval, he does satanic ritual abuse and government sponsored mind control like ministry basically, and he has an awesome podcast where people get on and give testimonies, and some of those testimonies, yeah, like you're saying, they're out of this world completely, space and time, like traveling out of space and time is what some of these things go, and that makes me think more of like, okay, I'm more excited about the world now that I know it's not a spinning ball, because the greater reality is this, you know, heavenly, spiritual, multidimensional kind of portals and different things like that.
I'm.
Yeah, I mean, space is always cold and black, and who wants to die alone out there?
Yeah.
So
It's
I
like,
want to comment
oh,
on what you said, Lemon, real quick. You mentioned somebody's testimony of talking about underground stuff, and I immediately was drawn to my memory of the TV show Agents of Shield, I think is the name. It's been a while
Uh,
since I've watched it. Did you watch that show?
oh no, no. But I am familiar with a little bit of the Marvel universe. You say that they had like an underground thing or something like
Well,
that?
it wasn't underground, but here's the thing: they these aliens. So there's been this huge theme popping up in recent about the last 10 to 20 years, but maybe even longer, about the people from below and the people from above, and this there's been this building theme. But anyway, in the Agents of Shield, they wound up on this colony on the moon in the future in the Agents of Shield show, and the moon had exploded, which shows up more than once, by the way. Where did this show up? It was in another TV show. Um, oh gosh, there's something else I watched recently that showed or demonstrated the moon exploding and being destroyed. Oh my gosh, don't tell me it was something I dreamt. That would be way too
I'm thinking
creepy.
of Star Wars maybe or something like that, but that wasn't the moon.
No,
That was like
I haven't watched Star Wars in a.
Oblivion. They kind of blew up the moon in that Tom Cruise film Oblivion with
Okay, maybe that wouldn't be the one I'm referring to, but obviously that's further impacting the themes hereof. But with that being said, in the Agents of Shield, these alien creatures, these Kree, I believe is what they called them. Um, they took these half-breed humans called the Inhumans that had superpowers, and they put them in arenas. I know that to most everybody right now, this is sounding very unrelated, but I do have a point. They put these Inhumans in arenas, um, and for all intents and purposes, part of the narrative was that these Inhumans were the innocent ones. Okay, and also that the innocent one part of the narrative was also that these innocent ones, the Inhumans that had these superpowers, also were to be feared. Very interesting themes going on there. But all that being said, these alien creatures took these people, these Inhumans, put them in a arena to fight another Inhuman, and the one who lived would get. They would so all these other alien creatures would come, or alien races and other planetarian cultures or whatever would come to watch this fight, and then they would bid. It was like an auction for the winner. And whoever was the winner obviously was the superior good prize to be the slave to the aliens that were anyway. So my point, how is this connected? It's about uh, inoculation, it's about pre-programming, and it's about the Overton window, and it's about a lot of these themes in how they continue to convey these ideas, paint these ideas in an absurd context, aliens on the moon, in the future, in humans, so far removed from reality, but it still affects the unthoughtful. I'll phrase people, a certain group of people as the unthoughtful, but you can kind of extrapolate what I mean by that. You could say blue pilled or whatever you want, but the unthoughtful to become more accepting of the idea of the dogfighting of humans, or what, however you want to metaphor you want to provide for it. So you mentioned that, and I immediately went to that in the ways that that people are being conditioned to be accepting of that sort of thing. But they'll move from they'll move from that to eventually they'll put people that have, like, I don't know, life sentences. I think that the gladiator thing is probably going to make a return, and they'll put people that are on death row in an arena to fight each other because they're going to die anyway. And then eventually it'll be people with uh, I don't know, something else like federal offense or what do they call it? Felonies, right? And then they'll move. I don't know. It might not ever happen.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it can happen. I mean, it's already happened in Rome. You know, with the Roman candles using
I don't
humans
know.
as Roman candles and stuff. What's there's nothing new under the sun, and they're probably doing it underground anyway.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Well, that was really my whole thing in telling the story about the Agents of Shield is how much they're grooming society with these narratives and these bingeable TV shows. Um, it's really overwhelming how much they groom and groom and groom.
I was thinking about that.
well,
Um,
oh no, you were saying?
I was just thinking about how this time in our late recorded history is the most focused people are on the media, which was basically started nefariously from the beginning. All the technology, the Nickelodeon, picture window, which was for porn, to the television, like all these different technologies were developed um, just to control, you know, just like Plato recommended, to control your people, don't feed them meat because they'll rise up against
Huh.
Yeah, give them, their GMO soy burger, probably flavored with, stem cell blood additives from their
you.
aborted children, to make them nice and compliant. Turn their brains into, calcified fluoride with these chemicals to basically make them compliant. There's various ways that, they get us from every quarter, really.
Right. Jesus said that you'll eat poison and it will not hurt you. You know,
Yeah, I'm still trying to understand the
I'm not not not
go ahead.
the way I think of it is we're responsible for what we eat if we feed ourselves. But as a missionary, I know tons of missionaries who have gone to eat and drink the most horrible things that would make them sick, but they
Yes.
do it in faith. Like
Yes.
eat what you're given. And I'm actually challenging myself to only eat what I'm given. I have 7 children and a wife, so I will not go hungry because they'll just feed me food. But not going out and stopping and getting some food because of the lust of my flesh during the day would be
Sure.
very good for me.
Yeah. It's an interesting verse, and I recently read another verse related to that in saying that it was in Proverbs. I'm pretty certain it was in Proverbs, and it had something to the effect of following the righteous path, no true evil could be done to you. Evil can happen, but it distinguished it made a distinction between evil things happening to you and no true evil thing happening to you as a result of being a righteous person. Very fascinating distinction because it reminds me of Job that evil things happened to him, but true evil didn't happen because if you take into account the scope of his life and the actual anyway, it's a very fascinating case study to apply Bible verses like that to. Guys, it's 9:26. I planned on wrapping up at 9:30. Thanks for joining me on
Are you in Texas?
me. Oh
Yeah, are
no,
you in
I'm in
Texas?
Central Standard. I'm actually in the middle of nowhere. In Iowa.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
it's not where I'm from. It's just where I live right now. And speaking of earlier stuff in regards to the awesome bear community, the house I live in is the result of a loving brother in Christ that is also somebody that I met through Owen Benjamin. Um, and anyway,
Nice.
I met him, started talking. We had similar goals and aspirations in life, such as homesteading and that sort of thing. And um, in his taking God's word seriously, he made an offer to allow my family to live in his house while he was on deployment with his wife and 4 kids. And anyway, so my wife and my 3 kids are living in a house um, without the expenditure of rent or mortgage. We take care of everything else, obviously, but anyway, it's a blessing to them and
Nice.
it's a blessing to us. And I I believe it's a demonstration of how the body of Christ should be working with each other, like how we should be treating each other. So I'm thankful, um, obviously, and I hope that more and more stuff like that takes place for others in the body of Christ. Because, like I said, it's not about Owen. It's about, God is the one that should be getting the glory, and we're thankful for anybody that's speaking out and speaking truth.
Praise God.
Yeah. So I've been for the last year, almost year. I've been finalizing um, my streams with love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. The Shema, as it's referred to as. So I just this morning discovered a new catchphrase. I'll share with you guys now. Follow Yahweh, not your way.
Mm,
Short, sweet, and quite effective in uh, communicating the truth. Follow
That
Yahweh, not your way.
nice.
that's
So,
cool, and we could probably come up with more using the different pronunciations of Yahweh.
yeah, that. Uh, yeah, I'm kind of stuck on limiting the number of vowels included in the Tetragrammaton, but um, I don't know. It's the pronunciation of words and stuff is pretty interesting.
Well, one interesting bit of gravy. There's a guy named Joseph Riverwind, and Chief Joseph Riverwind, and he had old stories from when he was a child growing up. Just passed around the campfire, and he said the original name for God that they had was Yahovah, which is
Yeah,
really awesome because they met they have the whole story of meeting the ships that came over, and and they said there were definitely evil tribes who were pantheists and bloodlust loving and stuff like that, but he said that there was a tribe seeking God as well, so it's pretty cool.
yeah, fascinating. You're talking about the Native Americans, yeah.
Yeah, he wrote a book called What the Old Ones Say. That's where I read it.
That's very cool. Yeah, I have a feeling there were um, faithful tribes that just were living here, but they were still faithful to the Word of God, even
Giant
through
food.
oral tradition. From the original tribes that were dispersed abroad. There's no reason to just say, oh, no, none of them that made it over this way would have. I think
Well, they
that it's reasonable to assert that certain ones could have maintained the true faith. So yeah, but it's interesting.
Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, guys. I'm ending my stream